Thank you for tuning in to the DAS Today Network. I am your host, Aaron, and I am joined with the Prime Minister of the American Slave Nation, Dr. Gerald Higginbotham. Doc, how you doing this afternoon?
Awesome +1, and I'm so excited to be on the DAS Today show with you. Hey, I hear we got some good things happening. What you got planned?
Yeah, so we got some hot topics we want to cover today in the American Slave Nation. First, we want to do our public service announcement, as always, getting people geared up for November. Second, we want to review page 7 of the U.S. 2020 Census document. We want everyone to have clear instruction on what to do when you get to the booth today or in November. Thirdly, we will talk about WLOU radio programming, 1350 AM, 104.7 FM in Louisville, Kentucky. We'll be going over that radio show with Kathleen Parks, the First Lady of Reparations. Fourth, we have the Winds of Change book reading club. We have America's Little Black Book that we read and record, and we want everyone to know where you can view and get that information as well. Fifth, we have a event that may be canceled. It is touch and go at this point for Las Vegas, Nevada, and their plans concerning that area. But I know there's a lot of major events that we're rescheduling to Las Vegas, but now things are starting to shut down. So we'll have some information concerning that. The 60th year commemoration of the transatlantic slave trade. And then on 6, we'll be hopefully, well, we plan to send a message to the ADOS community. We have received some contact from them, so we look forward to sharing the message with them as well. So what do you think, Doc?
I think it's time to light the fire and kick the tire.
Okay, well, that sounds like we're clear for takeoff, and we will begin with our public service announcement. It's election time. What race will you choose on Census 2020, page 7, box 8? Those of us who are descendants of American slaves will choose box 8 and write in American slave. Why? Well, in reviewing the U.S. Constitution, we see that there are 2 races spoken in this business contract, Indian and slave. So it's time for the slaves to get down to business. When tax dollars get distributed this year, we will get our share of the $500 billion to be shared amongst all the races here in the U.S. We want you and your families to receive your share. However, it will take much effort in freeing our minds and seeing this nation as a business. Do not get caught up on the term slave, because we celebrate our ancestors and their many accomplishments to put us in this position. The value that our ancestors brought to the economic success of the United States of America caused them to write us in this business contract called the Constitution. But thieves have stolen this economic benefit by calling us everything but what the contract identifies us as. Misidentifying our race has been the strategy, and this caused some of us to choose personal success and a measure of approval from other races over organizing and strategizing ourselves to protect our communities. Dr. King mentioned in one of his latest speeches that the economic battle would be the battle to take on next, and we are here to claim what is ours. A new day is here, and although we are proud of what we have accomplished against such strategic odds, we are laser focused on the future business of the American slave nation. Us uniting around page 7, box 8, will have an immediate impact on our personal circumstances. So if for nothing else, let's get to the polls this year so we can get our share of the $500 billion to be handed out. U.S. Census 2020, page 7, box 8, write in American slave. So that's our public service announcement from the American Slave Nation. It has been approved by our Prime Minister, who is with us today. As always, we're excited to have you with us, and we want you to speak a little bit about the forum.
The reason why we are really big on having our group do this, so it can begin to show us a sign of unity, and also too, we can be able to claim the resources which is rightfully ours for our culture. America bred slaves in this country in those 7 southern states on those plantations. She created it was a business. She created a baby making slave system, economic system. And so I'll say it again. Slave is in the US Constitution. That's a legal term, and slavery was a business. And so what we got to be about is doing business in our culture's name, slave. America is a capitalistic society. And so the dollars have been set aside for the culture. We need to go get what's on the table because other groups are going to do it. Now, to make this happen, enough of us need to go out to the 2020 census. You can do it online. You can do it at the polls, but you can do it online right now. Go to page 7, box 8, and write in American slaves. That's just that simple. You don't want to click on box 2 where it says Black and African American. And then it talks about Jamaicans, Haitians, Nigerians, Ethiopians, Somalia. That box is for the immigrants. We have to stop and think now. We have to stop and think through this process. Why would they confuse us like this? The reason why is so that they can cover the shame and keep the crime of slavery hidden and keep you from getting paid. But what we have to do is we have to be about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding and recognize that they created a culture and it's time for the culture to get paid. So once again, out at the US Census, page 7, check the box 8 and write in the word American slave.
Thank you, Doc. That's always educational information for us to know. We know that a lot of people get the information sent via mail and can go out on the website and actually complete this information as well. So when it comes to the race, what race are you category, be sure that you go down, if you're a descendant of American slave, go down to box 8 on the left margin and write in American slave. All right, so we're still working and very hard towards our WLOU station 1350 that we've adopted in Louisville, Kentucky. It's also 104.7 FM with the First Lady of Reparations, Kathleen Parks' radio show. Tell us a little more about that, Doc.
Well, what we want to do is have everyone call in. Everyone that it's on Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We want everybody to call into the show and say, hello, First Lady of Reparation. And if you have a question, ask her the question. Dr. Norris Shelton may be on the show because generally they're reading the book, America's Little Black Book. I know we went out there and talked. They were so excited to hear from us. And so she also is streaming it live on her Facebook page. You might even want to friend her. The reason why we're doing this here is that to show Louisville that we love them and that we are supporting them because they are trying to create a culture incubator there. And by us doing this, us uniting together in unity, it helps to support them and encourage them. So it's just simply to do it out of love and support for the American Slave Inc. And I'm excited. We did it. She was she got so excited because Aaron, you called in and we all was just having a great time about what was happening and letting them know that we're standing with them and we got your back. And then they said, well, LA, we got your back. Washington, we got your back. And it's just a sign of unity. It is our turn and it's our time and we're doing it right. Louisville, the state of Kentucky has recognized American Slave Inc. as a nonprofit 501c3 legally to represent the descendants of American slaves. The IRS has given them a tax number as well. And so I know that we are doing everything legally as possible because as the reparation begins to flow in, America is about business, not business. They're about business. They will give the resources to the American Slave Inc. nonprofit foundation because they have now certified them as legit. All the other groups out there, they need not apply. African Americans, don't apply because you're not going to get it. They are about business. And so what we have done, we have set the process up so that we can be able to get the resources, so that we can be able to give the funds back to create programs, to create business incubators to heal our communities, culture incubators, so we can know who we are and we can learn about doing business. And so we've set it up just how the United States of America is set up. It's a nonprofit foundation. Well, American Slave Inc. is a nonprofit foundation that also represents and support, through the descendants of American slave, the American slave nation. So this is a system, this is a process systematically designed to move this culture from poverty, ignorance, dependency, and complacency to knowledge, wealth, and power. And I'm harping on that because you got a lot of other imposters out there that are trying to do something, but it's not going to work if you don't do it legally according to how the system has been properly set up. So I'm excited, and we're here to support First Lady Kathleen, First Lady of Reparation, Commissioner Park, and boy, I'm excited about the American slave having its birthday on July the 3rd out there at Bellum University. The National Executive Council will be meeting out there and coming together to get our marching orders for the upcoming year.
So that's wonderful news to hear. It's my understanding that there will be some other groups that are in the area during that time. It's certainly our hope to meet with them. Okay, so along to our Winds of Change book reading club. I know that we have a Facebook page that we are recording our book readings and placing those videos out there. And so talk to us about the Winds of Change.
Well, the Winds of Change is just like what it says. It's time for change. And so we're in the information age. There's information out there that has been hidden. It has not been known. Or I should say, it has been kept under cover. And so we are using America's Little Black Book. And the America's Little Black Book, the purpose of this is to help fix the foundation. Slavery was the foundation of America. And so people can come out here and be able to, what we do, we put a chapter up every week, or you can hear the past chapters from the previous weeks out there over the internet where people can hear us read to them. I know when we first launched this here, everyone got so excited and said, well, why don't you set it up? And we used to get bedtime stories read to us. And why don't somebody read it, put it out there on and whenever you ask me, and if we can be able to do it, and I say, yes, I'm committed to it. And I'm gonna try and pull as many people in as possible to help be a part of this. So what we're doing is reading the book, chapter by chapter, line by line, precept by precept, to understand, so we can all have the understanding. We can have that conversation, because the American slave culture is so important. It was America's first bread culture that she used to create this awesome nation that we're living in. And when the agriculture age was over, they kicked this culture to the curb. However, the culture is still here. It's a living culture. And now that we are awake as leaders, we're going to make sure the information get out. We're not going to have any excuse, because we're now in the information age. Knowledge is now the primary vehicle. And we have all these tools, the internet, to get the word out so people can know, so we can heal our nation and be made whole, and we can be proud of America. So we meet generally on Monday nights at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And you can learn about this on Facebook under the Facebook Winds of Change Reading Club. Go out there and become a member or sign up to the group. I'm excited about it. We're going to have a session tonight at 7 o'clock. Today's March 17th. And so we're going to be talking about chapter 20, Reparation War. Everybody wants reparation. You really need to be out there to hear this one, because you'll have a different perspective about how this reparation war will take place if we're not too careful. Knowledge is power. It's a potential to power, but when you have the right information, you definitely can participate. And we want you to join the Winds of Change book club.
All right. Well, we appreciate that, Prime Minister. And I'm just going to go ahead and basically repeat what I had mentioned as we were going over our agenda. The Moulin Rouge Agreement Diamond Anniversary is to be commemorating 60 years of racial integration in Las Vegas, live streaming of the United Nations General Assembly, and in recognition of the descendants of American slaves, victims of the transatlantic slave trade. Thoughts on that? Now, that program is been scheduled for this month, March 25th, and we know that times have changed since we even broadcasted our last video, and so I know that this is a touch and go basis right now for Las Vegas, but still an important event. I know that Catherine Duncan, who is the Historic West Side Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, is working very hard to see how we can continue with this program. So we wanted to have her on the show today, and she was going to give us more information, but because of the turn of events, she has bowed out graciously to figure out a means in which we can continue to have this particular event. Your thoughts, though, on the transatlantic slave trade and them commemorating it for 60 years?
I think it's important because 60 years ago, they wouldn't allow the singers, the performers, to sleep at the hotel. There was so much racial discrimination in Las Vegas. And they recognized that they had an issue. Yet we want the descendants of slaves, to come and perform, but we wouldn't allow them to stay at the hotels. And so they decided 60 years ago to do something about it. And so it's the 60-year anniversary. And I hope and pray that if this event still go off, even if they have to stream it online. We're in the information age. I'm gonna keep harping on that. Technology, like what you're listening to right now, is being used through this medium of exchange. And I'm hoping and praying that we stand with them and we help make it happen, because it needs to go forward. I'm excited, Brother Aaron.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, well, we're moving right along. And I know that some of this, for our viewers, some of this information is repetitive. We know that we're continuing to drive this message concerning the U.S. 2020 because of the hard work and the effort our Prime Minister has put forth in going to Capitol Hill, talking to the state representatives, and getting them to acknowledge descendants of American slaves on Box 8. We appreciate that effort, and we're going to drill that message home. And this is where I feel like it's a great segue to say to our ADOS family, welcome to the discussion of the U.S. Census 2020. We hear your voice united out there, and we appreciate your input in terms of what we're doing here. And we would love you all to join this effort for the U.S. 2020 Census so we can all get paid. So yeah. Your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts is that we went out there and set it up. We've done the legwork. And the process is in motion. And therefore, everybody need to get on board the movement that's moving in that direction, and don't try and hijack it, because it takes teamwork to make the dream work. Here's the other piece. In this country, you have to dot every I and cross every T. I believe that this is going to have to go to the world court in order for us to get reparation. And when we walk into the world court, we all need to be on one accord, because they will acknowledge the American slave nation, the American slave culture, because it's in the Constitution. Descendants of American slavery, what does that mean? What does that really mean? And so, but the American slave, it points, no, this was a culture. This was a people. And so it's important that we are all on one accord. When we get on one accord, we will become a force to be recognized. And the other piece, since we're on that subject, everything operates off of nationhood. Here in our country here, we've got a situation that's happening where they're shutting down nations, not races. They're shutting down nations. They're shutting down countries that you can't enter into. So everything operates off of the nation state. So we have to look at it from that perspective. And I'm really glad that the American slave nation, it has its constitution, it has its Declaration of Independence. It's structured according to the international laws, the laws of nation. So that piece is in place. And so as we move forward here, we want to be able to do this thing and be on one accord from a nation perspective. That's the other thing, reason why we're doing it.
Well, extremely valuable information from our Prime Minister. And I certainly agree with teamwork makes the dream work. Together, everyone achieves more. Everyone knows that. And so, yeah, well, maybe not everyone knows that. But again, we wanted to get some information up on our YouTube page. And we appreciate you tuning in to our Descendants of American Slaves members and those who have joined. We want to thank you for viewing this video. Please share, like, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on the DAS Today Network.